Hey everybody, this is CryptoRobert. Welcome to my latest video. I have a special video. I'm going to be interviewing Jimmy Zhong of the coin IOST, and it's a really exciting interview because we're going to dig a little deeper into this crypto space with this particular coin, and I think you're going to really like this interview. We're going to learn a lot. And Jimmy's promised not to make it too difficult for everybody. So I guess we'll start out. Jimmy, can you tell us your technical background and how you got into cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, so how are you doing, guys? Pleasure to be here to talk to you guys today. My name is Jimmy. I'm the CEO and co-founder of IOST. Brief introduction here. We're trying to build an infrastructure that's secure and scalable to support all the decentralized applications to be built on top of IOST. Currently, as you can see, there are a lot of solutions like EOS, like Ethereum, Cardano, a lot of popular ones. In like a little bit, we're going to compare technology to theirs in a very straightforward way. So as for my background, my co-founders and I we've been doing startups for years. Personally, I've been doing startups since I was 16. I sold two companies. The other company I founded a few years ago, we're making profit as well. So we're doing pretty well there. The first company I founded in the US were sold for $40 million, and then we went back to Asia. We started to do the IOST thing back in 2017, but like my co-founders and I, we've been actually trading Bitcoin for years. First time I've heard of Bitcoin was in 2013.
Wow.
My college professor, my college professor brought me into the world of Bitcoin, and we weren't really talking about blockchain back then. Nobody really talks about blockchain back then. Like people only trade Bitcoin because they think it's cool, like it's something that you can't really be taking away, right? Like you can't really be like, hey, I'm the government or I'm whatever powerful guy I am. I mean, I can't really be taking away your Bitcoin, like the way I'm taking your money from your bank. So it's like quite a interesting concept that even my professor was teaching distributed system. Like he said, obviously we're all CS major and stuff like that. We don't really talk about the concept of blockchain, but we see Bitcoin as something to overturn the traditional banking or the financial industry. So that was cool enough for us. And until like 2015, actually 2014, Ethereum jumps out, and Vitalik actually built the thing in 2015, and he started to say that, hey, blockchain is actually such a concept that can not only be used to to overturn the banking industry. This is something can be used for a lot of industries. Decentralization as a concept is really changing the relationship between people, right? It's changing the relationship between you and the corporations. It's changing the relationship between people inside the corporations. It's changing everything. So that's the first time the word blockchain became popular. Right? People started talking about, hey, can this industry be decentralized? What about exchange? What about online advertising platform? What about social media? I mean, what about Facebook or WhatsApp, Telegram? How about those things, right? So people started to imagine like what are the industries can potentially be decentralized and what benefit from that. So in 2015, I'm honored to be an early investor of Ethereum. We've acquired a ton of Ethereum. Too bad that we sold all of them, under $20 after the DAO attack towards the end of 2016. It is what it is.
Yeah. Imagine having Ethereum back then. You'd be
like we had a lot of Ethereum back then. It was like $1 to like $10, but it is what it is. We made some money there, but the reason we sold is not because we were stupid. It's more like, Vitalik sold out, basically out of his Ethereum as well back then. After the DAO attack, not only because of security concern we've had, but also like the more we look into the platform, the more we realize that, hey, like the vision Vitalik had was great. It's literally like it's like revolutionary, right? But the thing is that the thing he's building right now is not only having a governance issue, that the foundation doesn't really have much control anymore, although it's a really early stage product from a technical perspective, right? It's like a company with the size of Google, but the product itself is still like a C-run company.
Right.
It's like a very, very early stage tech with a giant market cap. So there's a lot of problem over there. If you look at what's going on right now, like Ethereum has Ethereum's foundation combined with Vitalik, all these guys, they probably have it's like a million something Ethereum versus EOS. EOS is our biggest competitor. They've raised over 5 million Ethereums. This is really screwed. This is really screwed up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like your biggest competitor in theory has more stake than you for your own platform. So and not only that, like even right now, like they're suffering from switching from POW to POS, not only because of technical reasons. Like think about it, all the miners have purchased equipment already, right? And tomorrow you're telling them, hey man, sorry, you can't really mine this anymore. It's gonna be like POS. They're gonna fork 1,000%.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like there's gonna be another fork like other than ETC. So there's a lot of governance issue towards Ethereum right now. Not only that, like we figure that Bitcoin doesn't need to scale. Like Bitcoin to be used as a store of value, it actually does not need to scale that much. Like you're not. It's not like you're transferring physical gold 30 or 3,000 times a day. We don't do that, right? Like we do that at centralized exchange, but we don't do that in real world. It's not like I can give you like 2 tons of gold within a second. It doesn't work like that. It's slower than Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, in a way, it doesn't need to scale that much. A lot of people don't understand that. But for Ethereum, though, it really has to scale. Like I'm not saying it has to scale to a level that it supports millions of transactions per second. No, it doesn't. But a few thousand transactions per second is really necessary for a platform like Ethereum. Like currently, right now, I don't want to give cliche examples like CryptoKitties but even some ICOs raised before, like SNT, some popular ICOs, when people were basically transferring token into the ICO fund, and they started to realize that hey, the whole network is blocked right now. So whole network only supports 20. It's pretty pathetic, right? Like
it's crazy.
You can't really have 20 transactions on an operating system, and the worst case is like it's not like an individual developer gets 20 by himself.
Right.
Everyone in this world right now, they're sharing the same 20 bandwidth. Right?
Right. It doesn't make sense. I think the CryptoKitties didn't almost shut down Ethereum.
Exactly. This is really, really, really bad, right?
Imagine you had 20 CryptoKitties, different programs at the same time.
Bro, then you're gonna spend like, I don't know, $10 to transfer Ethereum transactions.
Oh my goodness. Now going back to Bitcoin, I love Bitcoin, but you're right. I don't, use it for a lot of transactions. It's a store of value. It's my digital gold. And the Ethereum is everything else, really, to do everything, all the cool stuff.
Two different purposes. Like BM, like Daniel, the author of EOS, he was talking to, I think, Satoshi Nakamoto on the forum back then years ago. They were arguing about the scalability part, and there was a famous quote from Satoshi saying, if you don't understand it, I don't have the time arguing with you. Right? So basically, Bitcoin really doesn't need to scale, but Ethereum does. EOS does, all these platforms they do. So back to what we're building here. In short, we're looking at all these platforms these days. We categorize them into a few things, right? There is the old folks like Ethereum, right? They're doing really well, but the problem is that it's really hard for them to try out innovative things because they're too big. The governance issue, and in the same time that because of the governance issue, if you look at the actual foundation right now, like Decentralization, basically, and the founder of Consensus, basically all the other co-founders have left. Charles started Cardano, there are other people started other projects. That's all because of the governance issue. It's really hard for them to try out innovative things right now. Other than that, we do think that the path they're taking right now is not exactly correct. To actually build a platform, I think it does need to scale. I think they're not realizing that right now. And for EOS, there are projects like EOS. One part I do like EOS is that they're taking a very simple and honestly a very brutal approach to solve the scalability issue by introducing supernodes. We're going to talk about what supernodes means.
Yeah, sure. But let me ask you about how the IOS token, I believe it's referred to as the Internet of Services, right?
Yes.
How in the future, Jimmy, look like 5 years out, how do you envision IOS tokens really being used in a day-to-day, business-to-business setting or person-to-person setting? And what is your vision for the token?
Yeah, so in short, we're trying to build an operating system, and we've been big here. We're not interested in short-term gain. So we want to be one of the most successful platforms out there, like Ethereum. And the mission here is straightforward. We want to build a relatively decentralized platform that can actually scale and is secure enough to support thousands, tens of thousands of the apps. So we want to be the top 3 or even if not the best operating system on blockchain that you guys will be using in the future.
Right. Wow. So that's a very lofty goal. So in terms of like how would the token actually function in the future? You know, how would you enable the services? How would that actually technically work?
Yeah. So before we talk about the technical part,
okay.
Let's actually talk about. I mean, we briefly mentioned the current solutions, right? There's Ethereum, there's EOS, there's us. The biggest problem right now for all this infrastructure type of blockchain right now is one, the security part.
Right.
Two is the scalability part. Those are the biggest challenges right now. Like obviously there were a lot of problems with Ethereum smart contracts.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's pretty much a disaster over there. And in the meantime, it doesn't really scale. That's a problem. So there are different solutions when people try to approach the things. Especially for scalability, for security is actually easier. There are some formal solutions like formal verification, things like that.
Right.
There's a lot. I mean, it's not like people have like 20 different paths to take. So people are doing similar stuff. So we're not going to talk about that. But for scalability stuff, it's really kind of getting into a lot of it's getting into like a really massive situation right now. There are a lot of fancy terms like sharding, DAG.
Right.
You see a lot of solutions like supernodes, things like that. Briefly speaking, the fancy terms like sharding or DAG, we're also exploring it as well. But there are projects that are merely focusing on sharding and DAG. Here's a brutal fact: they will not be launched in the next 3 to 5 years. Look at what Ethereum has done in the past 2 years. They've been working on sharding for 2 years.
Right.
Yet very, very, very little progress has been made. There's very slim chance to actually get a secure and a data consistent network to work on top of sharding. Data consistency is really important.
Is this and Jimmy? This is the reason. The reason being is that it's very difficult for this to happen on a decentralized platform. To have all of the different nodes, kind of like validated basically. Is that really essentially the issue?
The reason for sharding. Let me give you a very straightforward example here. Okay. Imagine you have 100 people sitting in one room, right? In the past, you're doing one question one by one. So as long as you literally have to wait until all these people to reach consensus to say, hey, this question we pick A here, right? Then we pass, right? Then we move on to the next one. So obviously this is pretty secure, pretty hard to get into the market. In the meantime, you support smart contract because it's a sequential market. Theoretically, when you guys are working on one question, you have the data at sync, meaning that you know the same information at the same time. But now you're not doing this anymore. You're doing things in parallel, right? So in the past it was slow because all 100 people are doing one thing. Now you divide them into 10 groups, right? This is sharding. Okay, so
I see.
Every one group of these people, say like 10 people per group, right? This is what we call a shard, right? So obviously this is 10 times faster, almost instantly without doing any effort. But the problem here is that not only there's security issue when people talk cross-shard, cross-group, but also there's no data consistency. When people are processing different questions at the same time, right? You may think A equals to 5. I may think A equals to 7. And for complicated smart contracts, they talk to each other. It's not like it's not like every single smart contract is a standalone smart contract. A smart contract could call another smart contract and call another smart contract, and this will get into serious problem when it comes to sharding. That's why until today there's no project, absolutely no project, unless they're lying, that can support secure smart contract on top of sharding or DAG. Okay.
Wow. That's pretty interesting statement. I always thought that smart contracts, because of the name smart, this wouldn't happen. so you're saying that there's an inherent issue or problem with smart contracts. Is that what you're saying?
So no. So basically, for everyone that are dealing with sharding or DAG, there is no clear way to support smart contract. And this is not going to be an easy issue to be resolved within potentially years. Because understand that sharding is not a term from blockchain. Blockchain is relatively new. Sharding is something from distributed system that got invented, I don't know, if not 20 years ago. Okay? So people have been looking into this issue for a long time. Until today, a lot of people still believe that there's just no solution. Potentially, there's some compromise that can be made. If you look at some projects like IOTA, they're using things like that, right? But they only support transactions, right? There's no complicated smart contracts over there. So if you actually want to build a platform, obviously smart contract is the key. And to support that, those solutions, although they sound really interesting, may not be the ultimate solution. Although, as I said, we're also looking to sharding as well, but this is not really our mainnet launch is not relying on sharding. We have our core technology called POB, which I'll introduce in like a little bit. Okay. But sharding, potentially, you know, we're always gonna think from the bright side, right? So if in the next few years a miracle happens and say 5 years later, 3 years later, people figure out how to do this, you know, the POB we have, the consensus protocol we have here, works perfectly with sharding. So we're still going to be the fastest.
Wow, that's great. I mean, you really do need to have transactions that happen, you know, instantly for this really to really work well and you know, as envisioned, of course, you know. So the yeah, as far as like you know, with the smart contracts, a lot of people are getting more familiar with them because a lot of mining companies now they are selling smart contracts and paying people that way, you know, so it's kind of a new thing, and kind of, you know, I'm on the fence about that. So
yes,
yeah, well,
you know what, I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you know, there were just too many projects that are only telling you the bright side, right? They're telling you the story. They're telling you, hey, you know, we're doing this super fast, it's amazing. But here's the fact, like any company that's merely focusing on those fancy terms, we call them moonshots companies, okay?
Right.
Their product will likely not be launched unless they pivot. Otherwise, they will likely not be launched within years. And likely, you know, I use the word likely just to be polite here.
Right.
Potentially they're not going to be launched forever because they're working on honestly impossible things. But back to what we're doing here. So in the meantime, we're exploring things that are moonshots that are fancy, but you know, on the other side, we're also, you know, doing something very practical here. So the core technology that IOST is based on is actually not sharding. It's actually what we call POB, proof of believability.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. I like that concept, the proof of believability. You've got proof of work, proof of stake, and now you've got the proof of believability. For my audience, what is proof of believability, and why is that better than, say, proof of stake or proof of work?
So there are proof of everything right now. There are too many of them. So it's not about the wording. Let's dig into this and let's actually help you guys understand what it is. So proof of believability by its literal means that, you know, we're trying to, you know, judge a node by its believability, right? And so believability simply means one thing here is reputation, right? So you can understand it as proof of reputation, whatever you want it. So understand this. We're gonna in vanilla POS system, we're not gonna talk about POW here, since everyone kind of knows that, you know, we're transitioning to a new phase here. But for POS, they have a very straightforward logistic here that if you have more money, you become more powerful, right? So you imagine this in the real world that you know, because you have $10, I have $100, I'm richer than you, so the system or the world believes that I have more at stake, so they give me more power. Since I have power, I broadcast more blocks, I made more money than you, so 20 days later, you look at your pocket, you still have $10, if not 11, maybe like $1 million over here, and then become even more powerful, and I can become the dominant part of the market, or even the whole network.
So proof of stake is creating like a digital oligarchy. You have a few power brokers that can kind of control the network.
So there are a lot of technical issues with proof of stake in general, but we're not going to talk about that. But centralization is one of the biggest issues here as well. So for proof of believability here, we basically alter the concept by doing a few things. Number one is we add reputation on top of the system, meaning that, you know, if you're rich, but if you're infamous, right, it doesn't count. Okay,
I like that.
Yes, if you're this infamous billionaire who just do evil things everywhere, we don't give a shit about you.
Right. And no Dr. Evils. All right.
Yes. Yes. And if say this guy, he's got a little bit of money, you know, he's some middle class man, but he's doing good things every single day to the community, you know, this guy, we'll give him a thumb up, right? So he got a chance to be rewarded. So back to the system here, you know, not to talk too technically, but it's very straightforward. For every single node, you know, we have this second layer of token. Second layer of token called Servi, spelled as S-E-R-V-I.
Servi tokens. Yeah, I read about that in the white paper. I wasn't too familiar with that. Maybe you can explain what's the purpose of the Servi token? Yeah.
Servi is reputation.
Reputation.
So, because in the blockchain system, we can't be like having a centralized server recording, hey man, you have like 5 reputation here, he has 7. Doesn't work like that. It's all decentralized. So we give you the second layer of token called survey. Survey is reputation, and it has three features. Number one is self-generated. Okay, so it's not like you buy this from anywhere. It's self-generated by.
I see. You can't buy a survey token on Binance or any exchange.
Yeah, that's the number 2 thing. It's not tradable. Now you cannot buy this from exchange. You can't be like, hey Josh, can you just borrow me some tokens like survey or things like that? No, it doesn't work like that. Survey, it's not transferable. You can't really be transferring token. You can't exchange token. Survey just stay there in your wallet, right?
Right.
Number 3 is the most important thing. Survey is self-destructive.
Really?
That's how it works. Yes, that's how it works.
It disappears. That's it. It's gone. The token.
Yeah. So this is why. It's very straightforward. This is actually the most brilliant part of reputation. In the world of proof of stake, it causes centralization because rich people become more powerful, and more powerful people become richer, right? It's always getting into a cycle here. But in proof of believability, if we don't make the survey self-destructive, it's essentially the same thing. Think about it. Like you do one good thing yesterday, right?
Right.
It's pretty unfair for people who just got into the market today, because you're the old guys here. You stay here for a long time. Your reputation was so high that there's almost no way for other guys to catch up. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. This is a brilliant concept, Jimmy.
This is really unfair.
Yeah.
But because in the world of proof of stake, you can't be like, hey man, you're getting too powerful here. I'm taking all your ethers away. No, you can't do that. You can't really be forfeiting people's assets. That's their money, right? The stake is their money. But here, we can be like, hey man, you get rewarded 2 times already. Sorry, your reputation gets amputated. You have to start over. Obviously, this is not by human. The system automatically does. So you have to start over all the time. You can't be like, hey, I just did one good thing yesterday. Then in the future, I get selected to do all the other good things. Doesn't work like that. It's fair for people who just come in today compared to people who has came in like a year ago, right? So you guys are in a fair competition here, which is what it's supposed to be. So it alleviates the centralization problem significantly, and it's brilliant because reputation doesn't cost money. We can empty it here, right? We're not taking your assets away, and we're encouraging you to do good things consistently.
Wow, I really do. So to recap, you get these survey tokens, and they're not transferable. They for the reason if they were transferable, you can transfer your reputation to someone else. So I like that. So you can't game the system. So essentially, everyone's on a level playing field.
Yeah, exactly.
Rich or poor, that's really good. Proof of believability. I wish we had that in politics, right? Let's not go there. So.
Yeah, so that's the decentralization part. We compare with POS, and now we can also compare with DPoS. So we're trying to build a scalable infrastructure here, right? So scalability is really the key. And how does proof of believability help scalability here? It's actually a very straightforward concept. If you look at DPoS, BM, Badmaster, Daniel, he's the author of EOS, right? So they solved the scalability thing by introducing a very, I would say, a shortcut, right? It's called supernodes. What does this mean? Let's talk about the example here, right? We still have the 100 kids here. Let's imagine this time we have 100, not people, we have 100 elementary school kids here, okay? Or kindergarten kids, okay? They're still young. They're not really experienced. They can't really do complicated math questions. They will give them some, say like an algorithm question or something like, say like 5 times 4, okay? They're doing that. It's quite slow, okay? Because I have to think about it. Hey, what is 5 times 4? Everyone has to think about it. Now, after they reach consensus, 100 people, 100 kids, right? And it's quite slow. You realize that essentially more nodes they have, more people they have in the classroom, more kindergarten kids you have in the classroom, the slower your network become, right? Because you say like 10 kids were talking together compared to 1,000 kids talking together, which is a disaster. Maybe they'll never reach consensus, but yeah, it's basically the same thing. And so EOS, what EOS does is a very, very brutal way. They kicked all these kids out. They're like, sorry guys, you're out because you're not smart enough. I'm sorry, we want only PhDs here, and we don't want 100 PhDs. We only want 3. Okay, so instead of having 100 or 1,000 kids here, which is really decentralized, they introduce 3 PhDs. stands for 3 super servers, right?
Right.
And obviously they're fast. 3 PhDs in the classroom, they be like 20, 20, 20 pass, right? So in real world, compared to Ethereum, Ethereum has over 30,000 nodes, right? If not more. Last time I checked was a long time ago. EOS, they only introduced 21 super nodes, right? So compared to the 30,000 kindergarten nodes here, they have 21 PhDs. And this actually, although it sounds cool, it actually introduced a ton of problems here that people are talking about today. Yes, exactly. Number one is, think about it. Why do we have blockchain? Because this is decentralized, it's not controlled by any entity, and it is fair and transparent. You can't just go inside and alter stuff, right? For a fact that I know, because not everyone can become the 21 supernodes. There's an election, right? And the worst part is that the election for supernodes is actually judged by people. It's not even by program or by computing power or anything like that. It's literally like, dude, it's like it's like American Idol. It's like I have. You get on the stage, I'm the judge, I'm like, hey man, you look like a 7.5 here. This guy looks like a 7.6, sorry, bye. It's like that, okay?
I see.
This is crazy.
That's not good, because people's, I guess they could make a poor judgment as to who they choose.
The judgment here, think about what's going on underneath the scene. There could easily be bias. There could be bribes. Like, for a fact, I know that among this 21 supernodes election that's going on, there were like single entity that's controlling multiple campaigns. Right? Like, you think the campaign in Europe is actually controlled by European people. No, it's not. The biggest campaign going on in Europe is potentially controlled by a Chinese entity. How surprised, man, right? Like, essentially, like, in the future, you could have 21 supernodes here actually controlled by 2 or 3 entities. And how bad is that?
That's very bad, yeah.
And if we were going to do that, Google solved the scalability thing by using one single service as 20 years ago. What's the point of doing blockchain, right? Like, there are a lot of issues. And plus, once you have that figured out, you only have 21 supernodes here, it could very easy to perform DDoS attack on top of that. So security issue is a big alarm as well. So with all of this combined, although I do think, they're taking a very smart approach of, doing the supernodes here, I'm not a big fan of that. I think that's on the contrary of the spirit of a blockchain, and we're not doing that. And for us, if you look at EOS, they basically made it faster by using a smaller network to reach consensus, right? And this is actually, instead of having 100 people reaching consensus, they have 3 or 5 or 21. This is faster. And this is actually essentially if not the only way to actually make the network significantly faster in the near future, okay? If you want to deal with sharding and DAG, sure, those are things can happen in 3 or 5 years. In the near future, if you want something to be launched soon, and obviously, it's not like Windows launched Windows XP on the first day. They have DOS, then Windows 32, and then Windows 98. There are, improvement made in the future. But for the first version people are launching these days, this is pretty much the only solution to make like a smaller people to reach consensus. And for us, instead of being a very centralized network like EOS and only have 21 fixed nodes here doing that, we are taking a different approach, right? Because in a system with reputation, not everyone has got a reputation, right? Like we can always pick the top 10, 20% of people with the bias or the highest reputation to be selected into the group to reach consensus, right? So say we have 1,000 people here, maybe only 100 of them have a decent enough reputation, right? So it's like these people, they reach consensus, and some people get selected to broadcast the block because the reputation gets emptied once in a while, individually, asynchronously. So it's always rotating, right? It's not like you get a fixed amount of people staying there, and they're always the people that are, getting the power or the money or the reward. That. So it's rotating. Theoretically, anyone with a decent barrier, decent computer, not a calculator, right, can join the network as a validator, as on a decent server, and so on the performance side, we can achieve similar performance, but we're way more secure and way more decentralized.
Well, I like that security aspect of it, and I appreciate you explaining the issue with EOS. The whole supernode versus your approach. So let me ask you, when is the token? Is it finished? Is it still being in development?
Progress-wise, the testnet is coming in the next month, June, by the end of June. So we're on track here. The private testnet was launched by end of March already inside. The public testnet will be launched in June. You guys can play with that, check out the performance, see what's going on. It should be really cool. I'm quite excited. And the mainnet should be coming by Q1 2019, if not this year. It's actually 6 months ahead of our original schedule, so that's pretty good. Doing quite well here. The team is working really hard. We've got about almost 40 people on the team right now.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the team. So where are you guys located? Are you guys an international team, or you're just a centrally located team?
Very good question. I've been asked this question so many times that where are you guys based at? I don't know how to answer that question because we have office everywhere. I don't think blockchain is something that's a national thing. It's really a international thing. I really, really, really hate when people say, hey, we are Japanese Ethereum, we're Ethereum in China, we're Ethereum in Germany, we're Ethereum. No, Ethereum in China is Ethereum, Ethereum in Tokyo is Ethereum.
You're right, it's the same. I agree with you on that one. It doesn't, I was just more like wondering if you guys all work in the same office. I don't care what country you're in.
Yeah, if you were to build something, you build something, right? Like IOST is IOST, we're not Ethereum, we're not Ethereum anywhere. So back to your question, we have office in Tokyo. We have office in Seoul. We have office in China, in Beijing. We have office in Singapore. We have office in San Francisco, and we're opening one in Germany, one in Vietnam, and the other one in India and Russia.
You guys really are global. Wow.
Yes, this is quite important because essentially we're infrastructure here. We're going to build the ecosystem. But back to the engineer side. Currently, we're getting to we had 15 engineers last week. Now we have 18, and we're still expanding. Besides excluding the co-founders, we have 4 PhDs, 2 from Cornell, 2 from Princeton, all majored in distributed systems.
Wow.
And experience with blockchain stuff. The rest of the team, they are all National Olympic Informatics winners or international competition winners in computer science, ACM winners. Those are the gold medalists. Those are literally the genius who got into MIT, Harvard, Stanford, or Tsinghua, or the best university all over the world at year of 16, 15, or 17, right?
Wow.
I'm a CS major too, but compared to those people,
well, you're smart, but you also surround yourselves with smarter people, so you get more done.
they're smarter than me. I'll definitely give them that. So we do think with all these people combined, we have a decent chance. I mean, that's actually one of the proudest thing we have here. We're really proud of our team. I think we have one of the best team among the whole industry. That's something we really like. And besides engineers, we take community very seriously because we're a platform. If you actually know, Ethereum has a consensus, which for Ethereum, they have 700 people all over the globe working on the community building for Ethereum. So we take community very seriously. By the end of this year, we're going to have over 100 people. As of now, we have about 20 getting to 30 people that are working on PR dev community for IOST. We have 8 people in San Francisco. We have 4 or 5 guys in Seoul, 2 people in Tokyo, people in Beijing. So we're taking this very seriously. That we do think, actually, at the beginning of next month in June, we're going to announce something that's similar to consensus. Consensus to Ethereum. Consensus is basically the marketing or the dev community building organization for Ethereum. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to form an organization like Consensus, and it's going to be doing the same thing to IOST because essentially we're, I wouldn't say competing, but we're building similar stuff like Ethereum. We're building a scalable, a better version of that, and we're infrastructure here. So we need developers to come and join us. We need to talk to other protocols, other projects that can potentially be built on top of IOST. So this is something we're really working hard on. And
yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to with this, is what projects are going to be built. Can you just give us an idea of what potential projects can be built on top of the IOStoken?
So, in short,
in short.
Wanting to be built on Ethereum but failed can be built on IOST. I'll give you an example here. A very classic one would be decentralized exchange, right? Everyone knows that centralized exchange sucks because you get your money stolen, there were hacks, all this stuff.
Right.
They don't want to do that as well, but the problem is that all the decentralized exchange right now are built on top of Ethereum, right? And Ethereum supports like 20 transactions per second.
Right.
I'll give you a comparison here. Binance alone is handling a few thousand per second.
Right.
So, it's basically not usable. Okay.
Right.
That's why you don't see a dominant decentralized exchange already. Like I think all the volume on decentralized exchange combined, probably like less than 1% compared to Binance alone. So
yeah, because if you're gonna have a decentralized exchange, it's super important to have like nanosecond transactions. You have a lot of trading bots running and everything.
Not only the speed, but also the throughput, right?
Right.
Like the bandwidth here. So
yeah.
we're gonna give them that support. And on the other side, there are a lot of other things can be done. Say on advertising, right? People will say, hey, Google or Facebook, those people, they're rigged because it's a centralized database. They can basically say how many times your ads get clicked or have been seen by other people. You got 5 million impressions here. I'll charge you $5,000. Maybe in fact I only got 3 or whatever. It's unfair, right?
Right.
You don't know what's the real what's the reality here. It's pretty sad that you cannot really do this on Ethereum because it's too slow.
Right.
Getting, I don't know, thousands of clicks per second at least, right?
Right.
What about Ethereum 20, right? So a lot of things are limited by scalability here, and there are tons of other examples like social network, privacy, or all the other stuff, or content distribution network. Hopefully, all of the things can be done on IOST.
Right. Now, if somebody wants to buy the IOST token, to hold it or whatever, where would they go to get their IOST token? Yeah.
So currently we are on Binance. We're on Bitfinex. We're on OKEX. We're pretty much on all the major exchanges.
Okay.
So it's pretty easy to do that. And liquidity-wise, we're constantly having about over $100 million trading volume per day. So it should be quite easy.
You're in the top, I think 50 usually, of coins on CoinMarketCap. I noticed. So usually right up in the top there. So
yeah, and I think for trading volume, we're normally top 15 or top 20 at least. Yeah.
Right. Just let my audience know this is not, buying advice. I'm not telling anyone to buy the token. I'm not getting paid for this interview. I don't even hold any tokens. This is a completely unbiased interview. I guess it kind of goes in harmony with your beliefs about fairness and everything. So it wouldn't be fair if you're paying me, right? So
yeah, I mean, one of the principles, actually two of them we have here is we don't talk about price and we don't talk about the potential exchange.
Right.
Yeah. So like if you guys have any question, you can always email me at jimmy@iost.io. Other than price and exchange, I'd be happy to answer all the other questions.
Right. Excellent. Let me just quickly look at my notes here. If I've missed anything here. I got a couple of pages here, but you covered quite a lot of all my. A
lot of the questions are connected to each other, so.
Yeah, a lot of them are connected, and a lot of the questions might be a little too beyond the technical scope of myself, or at least some of my audience. So. Yeah, wow, this is really good. If there's anything, let me ask you, how are you enjoying the Consensus NYC, the event going on?
Yeah, the event. Oh my God, it's actually so crowded over here.
Wow.
It's more block and crowd. So you have no idea. I think like especially yesterday, so crowded. I was there for a few hours, then I left because like it's almost impossible to talk to people. Just too crowded. Then we hosted this awesome meetup at a rooftop yesterday for IOST. Jad Jad is the founder from Repo and Statter here as well, along with a lot of other people. We've got over 200 investors and project founders over there. Talk about the ecosystem of IOST and other stuff. So we're excited. I think things are doing well here. I'll be in New York for a few more days.
Nice.
People get more partnership and. Just try to build a stronger ecosystem.
We'll do a little sightseeing in my hometown. Anything you want to take a look at while you're here?
I actually lived in Manhattan for 1.5 years, so yes.
Oh. Okay, so you've been here a few.
Yeah, I love New York City.
Awesome.
It's literally like my favorite city, not even one off.
No place like it in the world. We've got people from all over the world living here. It's really cool.
It's such a unique city. Yes.
Definitely. And wow. So thank you so much, Jimmy, for this interview. And I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy guy, a lot of responsibilities, and I know my audience is going to like it. And I kept my talking to a minimum so you can talk. So sometimes I talk too much, and I apologize. But I don't think I talked too much this time around.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you for giving me the chance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to post this video a little bit later. And again, thank you so much, Jimmy. And that's all I got to say. Anything else you want to say before we close the interview, Jimmy?
No, I mean, thank you so much for inviting us, and it's my pleasure to talk to all of you guys. Hope to talk to you guys again. And if you want to get some updates from IOST, check out our Twitter,
Yes.
or Medium, and we basically constantly post our stuff over there, and we've been extremely transparent. We have literally like weekly updates every single week, and we've never been late. So take a look at it there.
I'll be sure to post the links below on the video of all of your Twitter accounts, and I'm going to be following you guys too, because now you're on my radar, and I'm really interested in, and I have a better and a greater appreciation for what you guys are trying to accomplish, and I'm really rooting for you in the next couple of months and the year when it goes on the mainnet. It's really exciting. We're living in exciting times with cryptocurrencies and crypto space. So all right. Take care, Jimmy. All right.
Thanks, Robert.
So long. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.